What am I gonna do? I just got my test score back and it's a big fat F. What am I gonna tell my wife? Okay, so maybe this isn't a real test, but if you're like me, you probably can relate to a time when you failed at something, whether it was a test or doing some chores or work. Well, today we are going to be talking about failing in our time of family worship. But the good news is, we're talking about a God who never fails and how that brings us great confidence. So, we're not going to wait any longer, and we have a special guest who is going to tell the story and their experience of how God never fails. Come on, Private, if I can lift 10 of those, you can lift one. Come on, all right, get down, give me 20. Oh, hello there. I am Commanding Officer Joshua, leader of the Israelites, and I'm technically not the commanding officer, but for now that'll do. We are just wrapping up our first mission that God has given us to take the promised land that He has promised us. I would like to start off by giving you a little backstory. You may recall my former commanding officer, Moses, the man that God used to free His people as slaves in Egypt. Moses was also then used to give God's people the 10 Commandments and instructed us on how we could build a tabernacle to have God's dwelling presence among us. He was a fine man. I appreciate him greatly. Well, alas, Moses' time came to an end, and it was time for a new leader. And God called me to do the job. It was no ordinary job. My job was to lead His people into the Promised Land. Yes, the Promised Land was the place that God promised our forefathers, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob. Yes, He promised all of them a land that one day their people would dwell. And now that time has come, and it is up to me. Well, kind of. Kind of not. You see, normally a commanding officer would have to write up a strategy for taking over the land, but God gave me very specific instructions. In fact, in Joshua 1:7-9, the instructions were, "Be strong and courageous. Do not be terrified, for the Lord our God is with us at all times." Let me tell you, as a commanding officer with zero experience, I was very relieved to hear that. God promised us that He would not fail us, and He never has. He said He would be with us in all times. Well, then comes the present, now. And we had a little debacle on our hands. You see, we were on one side of the Jordan River and needed to cross the other side of the Jordan River to get to the Promised Land. The problem? The Jordan River was flowing and powerful. Have you ever been in a powerful current? It will suck you away. It is not a safe place for children and women and men to cross. Well, God had a plan, and He gave us very specific instructions. Of course, it wasn't our abilities or our power that would get us to the other side. It was our faith that God would not fail us that would get us to the other side. Let me explain. God instructed us to have the priests take the Ark of the Covenant. Now, the Ark of the Covenant was a golden box that was essentially like the throne where God dwelled among us. And He said to walk that Ark into the Jordan. Kind of not what I would have chosen to do, but we obeyed and we did it. Sure enough, just like God parted the Red Sea way back with Egypt, God stopped the flow of the water in the Jordan. This allowed all the people to cross the river. It was spectacular. It was mighty. God never fails. After the people crossed, there was one more instruction from the Lord. He said, "I want you to send one man from each tribe into the Jordan, where it was still dry, to fetch 12 stones." Now, we're not talking small stones, we're talking big stones. Private, I told you to move it. Anyways, we collected 12 stones and we placed them on each other to make a monument, or a place where we would remember what God had done. It was from that point that I instructed all of Israel to remember those stones and to remember that place so that we would never forget that God was with us, He delivers us, and He never fails. I instructed them and said, when your children see those stones, you tell them of all the great things that the Lord has done. So I am Joshua, commanding officer, not really, but kind of, over Israel, leading them into the promised land, and that is all the time that I have. I have a number of people that I need to instruct on what to do next. Thank you for tuning in, and before you go, I do have a few questions for you to discuss. The first question is, can you remember why did God instruct 12 men to pick up stones from the river and lay them on top of each other? Go ahead and discuss. Cadet, I told you if I caught you riding that three-humped camel again that you would... Sorry, welcome back. My next question. How did God keep His promise to Joshua and the Israelites? Please go ahead and discuss that. It's in order. That's it, Cadet. I've had enough of your shenanigans. You're gonna go get your toothbrush and be scrubbing those 12 stones until... Welcome back. My last question before I leave you. How has God kept His promises to you? Go ahead, discuss those questions. It was an honor speaking to you and telling you about how God never fails. Have a great day. This is Commander Joshua, signing off. Cadet, really? Are we gonna go through this again? I hope you enjoyed today's Bible story told by Joshua himself. And now, we are going to play our own little game of Cross the River. This is what you need: masking tape or 2 long pieces of rope. And then you'll also need 6 pieces of cardboard cut out to about 8 inches, or you can use regular pieces of paper. Here's how you set up. Take your masking tape and tape out 2 lines that are about 15 feet apart. Your parents can help you with that. If you're using rope instead of tape, simply put the rope 15 feet apart to create your river. Now this is how you play the game. The first person takes a piece of paper, which we're going to call the raft, and they lay it down and step on it. You can only cross the river by stepping on a raft. Now here's the thing, a raft can only have 1 to 2 feet stepping on it at a time. If more than 2 feet are touching a raft, then it sinks and you have to start over. If no feet are touching a raft, then it will float away in the river and you have to take that raft away. So the challenge is to work as a team and make sure that you've always got 1 or 2 feet in a raft. Now if you're playing against each other, then you're simply going to see who can cross the river the quickest. If it's just you and you're one team, then play a couple times and see how quickly you can cross the river. So go ahead and play the game Cross the River. Welcome back, and now it's time to learn our verse for the week, which is Psalm 136:12. With a mighty hand and an outstretched arm, His love endures forever. This is how we're going to play it. If you have your tape still available from the game, you might want to use it because we are going to create a hopscotch board. Now, if you don't have tape, maybe you have chalk and you can go outside. What you're going to do is create a hopscotch board with the squares and then make some verse cards, and on each card have 1 or 2 words from the verse and put them in the boxes. Then it's as simple as jump through the hopscotch box. Every box you land in, say that verse. Now after you've done it a few times, start taking some of the cards away. See if you can memorize it that way. So go play some hopscotch, memorize a verse, and have fun. Thank you for joining us for today's family worship. And I hope that you learned and will remember that God never fails. The best news is that even though we fail and fall short, God is with us always, and He will not fail us. The good news is that when we failed and sinned and, have had a broken relationship with God, He made a way through His Son, Jesus Christ, who died on the cross and rose again so that we could be forgiven of our sins if we believe in Him. So remember, next time you fail, it's not the end of the world, because you have a God who never fails, who's right there beside you, who can help you and pick you up. So God never fails. Remember that and have a great day.